Well, hello, Paradigm Shifters. It must be Transformation Tuesday. Yes, I'm so excited today because one, we're starting our month of November. And I love November because for me, it's a month of gratitude. Gratitude, Thanksgiving, gratitude in everything, and gratitude for everything. And we are right now, as of this morning, I always put this number down. We are 1,266 members strong. We are in our second year of every Tuesday, presenting tools to transform, shift, and uplift. So I love it. And it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this week, Karie Cassell, my new friend from Canada.
Hey.
We love Canadians. And you know, she's going to talk to us, and I'm going to read this bio, but Karie is married. She's a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Way to go, mom. There's from Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada. You are a diabetes educator and author of this great book, The Domino Diet. So I'm going to read this. Symptom after symptom. Are you tired of dieting? Are you searching for a new way that doesn't involve saying, I'll start my diet Monday? For me, I'll start it next month, right?
After New Year's.
Or whatever.
After
New Year's, yeah. Are you lost and confused with all the diets and mixed messages? Yeah. Are you tired of starving yourself and sick of feeling like your body is flawed in the first place? You know, and so how is this healthy? So here's Karie, and she's been there. She received all those messages as a kid, and she decided to look at health beyond the media's fake news. After helping countless thousands as a dietitian, her study in alternative medicine and life coach certification led her to writing The Domino Diet to lead you to true health. So I am going to welcome Karie. Thank you so much for being here. And
it's my pleasure.
Yeah, here you go. All yours.
It's all mine. Woo, there's so much I would love to share. So I'll start with where I started to struggle with even the word diet on the book cover called The Domino Diet. I'll just show you what I mean by that, because you see how the word diet is so prominent. I had been a dietitian for 30 odd years or so. Before that, I studied in alternative medicine. It's kind of an unusual combination for most dietitians. You don't know where your path's going to go. You just start going, and then you can look back, connecting the dots. Nonetheless, it was really a huge passion of mine. I thought I was normal reading the Nutritional Almanac book. For those of you who don't know about that book, over the years, they would put out these new books on nutrition, and it was called the Nutritional Almanac, much like you'd see today about weather and so forth. Nonetheless, I'm 13 and I'm reading the Nutritional Almanac book because my parents sold through a multi-level distributing company vitamins. So I was surrounded by vitamins, I was surrounded by books, and I thought that was normal. Friends were reading the Vogue magazine, and I was reading Nutritional Almanac at 13. And it wasn't until a biology class, it was the senior level of biology, that I knew about these vitamins. And the teacher was talking about vitamin A, and I knew what it did for the hair. And my friend who sat behind me went, "How do you know this already?" And I thought, doesn't everybody? So apparently not. So obviously I was being called to be on the path of wellness. And it took me to the alternative medicine and then into becoming a dietitian. So roughly 30 years of that, filled with passion in my career, until I hit my 40s. And I also hit perimenopause. My energy changed. The white picket fence flew down, and the just eat this, just move sort of messaging that I'm watering it down, but that is where I came from, because I couldn't understand why you wouldn't until I experienced my own. Alongside that, my husband was also seeing health failure, we'll say, gout, pre-diabetes. Gout, by the way, is a painful inflammation in the joints, like an arthritis, high cholesterol. Now, if you live with a dietitian, you would think by proxy that means you're thriving in wellness, but that's not necessarily the case, because that would be like being an on-duty cop in your home 24/7. And that, first of all, isn't fair, and it's just not even doable. Nonetheless, his health, I'm not having impact with him. I'm not having impact with myself. I'm not seeing impact with my clients the way I used to. And I begin to think it's time to throw in the towel. What is the point? I'm losing my passion. And then just before retiring, basically, was going to be at 50. I'm retiring at 50, I thought, if I'm not having impact. Somebody said, I thought you said once upon a time you'd like to be a life coach. And I thought, well, that's true. But I don't want another career. All these things that you talk out of what is actually the solution. And lo and behold, it did become the solution for me, because it filled up my toolbox with so many more things. You see, I didn't realize, you don't know at the level of thinking, creating the problems, and the solution for those problems is all sort of on that same level. So we were focused on the symptom. What is your symptom? Here's your pill, here's your diet. What is your symptom? Here's your pill, and it was a cyclical sort of putting out the fires. And then with the life coach, had I discovered, it has a lot to do with your mindset, which was a no-brainer in the one hand, but didn't mean I had the tools. So if you came to me for emotional eating, I think I have emotional eating, would be one way that somebody might term it when they would come to see me as a dietitian. I would say, carrots and frozen grapes and all these wonderful strategies, but I didn't know how to bridge the gap between, it's coming from the emotional side of the relationship, or money, or your time, or all of it. If you have a fight with your spouse or your teenager, that is part of the emotional eating. That didn't mean I had the tools to help bridge the gap until the life coach certification. So once I discovered these tools, I thought, I have to write this book. What am I going to call it? Life coach this, dietitian that. And in the middle of the night, one of those woo-woo moments, we'll call them, I hear the Domino Diet. And I'm arguing with that higher voice, God, whoever you might want to say your higher source is. I'm not putting the word diet on my book because it's a negative word. And people don't like that word. I want to meet them at the place of transcendentalism and self-development. And then I heard those who are already doing self-development at that level already have tools. Talk to the people who may not yet. It actually went deeper than that. I didn't realize that till the next day. And I began to go, okay, diet. What does this 4-letter word really mean? And it dawned on me. I know the meaning of the word diet. It comes from the Greek origin, dieta. Dieta means a way of life. The true meaning of the word diet is a way of life. And then I heard, you're a dietitian on a mission to bring back the true meaning of the word diet and put the word heal back into the word health. That's what I heard. Hence, therefore, when COVID hit, I began to write a book, and it just released at late August, pretty much 2 months ago, as of the day. Now, while the dominoes became a sort of a curriculum, if you will, and I'll try my best to show you as well as a bit of a visual. You can kind of see these dominoes have words on them, where your thoughts activate how you breathe. And it's how you breathe that activate your hormones, I'll explain, which then activate your feelings, then your actions, then your results. So I'll say that again. It's very, very powerful if you begin to see the root. It is how you think, be it with gratitude or otherwise, because that's the theme of some of what you're speaking about this month. How you breathe. I knew that it made a difference, but I breezed past the significance of it. You had us breathe in and bless before we began today. When you breathe in through your nose, and out through your mouth like you're blowing through a straw, you're activating a system called the parasympathetic system. I call it the R&R for simplicity, because it's actually called the rest, digest, and create mode. You caught that. It was this light bulb moment for me that, oh, if we are in that mode, we are switching on the hormonal system that assists us with digesting food, feeling fulfilled. We'll eat less. We're under gratitude. We're actually presencing gratitude if you really stop and go deeper within it, just by how we breathe. What happens, however, is by default, we live in our society mostly by the fight-flight response. Driving in traffic angry, or being chased by a mammoth, the same hormonal cascade occurs. We only have two pathways really by that breath, short breath, and the brain is constantly watching for which mechanism it's going to serve. Never in our time on the planet, which is all in our DNA. We are with our subconscious mind and our DNA always there for us, thank goodness, breathing us while we don't have to think about it. Talk about gratitude. I don't have to think about breathing. It just happens. But with my conscious mind, I can switch how. And never running from a mammoth would you be breathing calmly. So the brain knows, oh, nothing, no harm here. I don't need to send out all the cortisol and hormones that would cause you to fight and flee. No, on the contrary, I'm calm. I can rest, digest, and create better under the second hormone cascade. The reason I believe I was led to call this the Domino Diet is because it really does start with your thoughts and then your breath, and then the rest dominoes into place. If we begin to eat, say it's taking a supplement before you eat 3 times a day, and you breathe into that parasympathetic, the R&R system, you are setting yourself up for a meal to be, especially if you presence it with joy, remove all the news, watching the news or devices or driving in traffic or fighting with and skating across the floor, eating a bite while putting things in the dishwasher, and just be present with it. So again, I'm bringing gratitude as part of the theme. We are going to be better eaters, better digesters. And I really actually would ask and invite people to do an experiment to see if they actually eat less, because you're mindful by proxy. And now, okay, so these hormones create the feelings in our body, not the other way around. We actually have more control over the feelings part. I felt like having chocolate. Well, you had to have had a few things going on before you had chocolate, or saying things like, if there's chips in the house, I must eat them all until they're gone. I can't stop but think about chips. That's only true to a degree, because I bet you didn't wake up thinking about chips for breakfast. It's something else. It's triggered by a thought and a process maybe in the evening. And so I invite people to kind of play around with their thinking to realize, well, there's a part of me that really wants the chocolate, but not all of me. Because again, you would eat chocolate for breakfast if that's really how you truly, truly thought. And what a great opportunity to what I talk about paradigm shifting, busting paradigms of old patterns of thinking that say, I can or cannot, or it's all or nothing having chocolate or chips. And I'm just using those as examples because it's not about that. We've had these foods exist on the planet forever, and they could be consumed with gratitude. But what have we done instead? There's an overindulgence. And where does that come from? My personal take on this, and research does support, if we're operating under that fight flight response and we're in survival mode, what do you think is going to happen if we're going into the fight flight, which is competitive, compare and despair, eat in case we're, it's the Last Supper, it's Thanksgiving and it's the Last Supper. And you should enjoy, but it is not your Last Supper. It could be approached very differently. And I believe that is the diet, the other word of diet cycles have set us up into the guilt and the sacrifice and all of the feelings of not enjoying abundance. Now think back to our ancestors. Not very long ago, it was scarcity, feeding X number of children, stocking up as much as you could, a very different mindset. Eat everything on your plate. There are starving children in the world. How in the heck did that resolve anything? But that was the level of thinking that they had, which was feast, famine, and scarcity. And now we are trendsetters. This really didn't occur at any other time on the planet unless you were a king. And we know there was no middle section once upon a time, but in our DNA, we know the fight, flight, and thank goodness we do. We are here today because of it. But we could make the other system a primary system. We could begin to become people who live by the R&R system and using the fight, flight for circumstances that are appropriate. And if we become more aware, we can change that. And we can be giving ourselves a little bit of poetic license. Think about this. Years and years and centuries and thousands of years of our DNA operating under the fight, flight. And again, like I said, the scarcity. Now to recognize, oh, there's a store on every corner. I don't really need to stock up for 2 for 1. And now I'm avoiding all and having to navigate all the temptations with my less children in my home and my less movement. And all those types of thinking came from what was passed down to us from their limited knowingness of abundance. But we know different now. We can pass down to our children. We have abundance. Let's enjoy it. Guilt-free with mindfulness. Breath. Let's turn off the TV. Just have 15 minutes of enjoying and gratitude of this meal. And I guarantee it'll begin to change because we will have less stress, driving up blood sugars. Again, I'm, as you mentioned earlier, a diabetes expert. Same be said for heart conditions, blood pressure, the word pressure right in there, reflux. So many diseases would be limited and minimized by one thing that we bypassed and went straight to the symptoms and the pill. And we don't maybe need to blame the gluten and all these things. I'm not saying there aren't those who are sensitive, but if we ate less because we're mindful and just enjoyed under the right digestion, I think it would be less of those culprits being blamed. Going to the true source. So yes, the thoughts, and the more you're aware of your thoughts, the more you can ignite the right breathing, that ignites the right hormones, then the right feelings, then the actions. Your actions are based on that. Then the results. And I say the freedom, the last domino is freedom, that it's not about dieting. It's called a way of life. I've done a lot of chatting. I wonder if you have any questions.
I've never heard it put that way. And we're, at least in our country here, we're coming into the season of the Thanksgiving, at least here, and then Christmas and the like this, right?
Yes.
And what is like, for me at least, like, yeah, this is good. Like, I'll have maybe for a week or so, and then I'll lose the momentum. What would you suggest to keep momentum going with this through November, December, in, January, everybody's hitting the gym. But, where is it that you would suggest that, how do we keep momentum going?
There's a few responses to that. One is support. This is new. This is new ways of being and thinking. I know you're in the life coach world. I'm in the life coach world. And how do we keep going as life coaches is by our support as well. So it's sort of like, I'm going this way with my support and come along with me. There's support, I believe, is one part of it. And setting up systems that are more realistic, but a little bit of a stretch. One small example is today, I just finished my 1,000-mile journey. What that means is I started January 1st and thought by January 1st, I would have this goal of 1,000 miles, which would mean roughly 3 miles a day, but about 20 days of not that. It was an 80-20 rule I was setting up. Well, I just so happened to hit today my 1,000 miles. It wasn't because I did a marathon. It wasn't because I sat on the couch. It was this in between that I set up that was reachable, but stretchable. And now I'm going to go on for just a bit here, which doesn't answer your question right away, but it will come back to that. What's important for people, I think, to realize is that right now, we are blessed with a system that provides us, for instance, new red blood cells every day. Right now, you have new baby red blood cells and some that have died. Every 120 days, 4 months, you will have a whole new batch of red blood cells.
Really?
I love you. I mean, it'll be the case for all of our cells. They are constantly renewing, and in 7 years, you'll have a new body. I love using the red blood cells because you go to your doctor, you go to the lab. What's the first thing that they do is grab blood samples to measure your health. So I really do like using them. Plus, having a diabetes expertise, I know how to understand the sugars and all this that comes from red blood cells. So I use that as a marker. What I love is that our system's already rejuvenating and creating new ones. However, what would happen if you ate a certain way, moved a certain way, because you'd have more serotonin and better hormones? We know that through studies, if you eat healthy fatty acids, for instance, the membranes of those cells will become stronger. We know that if you are surrounding yourself by positive people, again, supports, you are operating under a different vibration. I can go into that. That's a whole new topic. And being in a certain environment where you're breathing in healthier oxygen and so forth, we know that those red blood cells will be better. So what would happen if you set yourself a goal of 120 days or 4 months with the idea of, I'm going to heal from the inside out instead of using the darn scale as my only measure of success? And if I were to do that, I would set up things like a minimum of a 10-minute walk a day, or dance, or yoga, or. But a 10-minute, it's like a prescription I'm putting here. A 10-minute activity. Yes, of course, we could do more. But if we say 10 minutes, the subconscious mind that's listening will say, yeah, I can't really find a good excuse not to fit 10 minutes in my day. We spend that brushing our teeth roughly or taking a shower. Regardless, what I'm saying is, if you set up simple, you might walk 10 minutes out the door and then 10 minutes back and it ends up being 20. That's a nice little trick. But if you say 10 minutes is my minimum and do not squash the little sprouts of that growth. Oh, yay, I did 10 minutes. Like, really, hurrah. Hydration. Now, most studies suggest 8 cups, which is 8 ounces each a day. I suggest, most people know that already and find it a difficult stretch. Therefore, I suggest 6. Do more, absolutely. But as a minimum, if you do 6 cups a day, you've stretched to something realistic, and that's doable because you can count your herb tea and your glass of milk, and you could count those things. I like to say water is the gold standard. And then you can use your own individual barometer on hydration, which is the color of urine. Just say that right now. Clear is great, obviously, because not everybody needs actually 8 cups. Some need more, some need less. And I think starting with 6 is great. Having 3 servings of vegetables in a day and 1 serving of fruit, half a cup being a serving, When you start looking at your apple, that's 2 right there, most of them. A salad, that can be 2 really easily. And why I'm saying that versus the guidelines, which are 5, is again, it's doable with 3 meals. If you say I'm going to have 1 vegetable choice, which only half a cup again, you can achieve that in 1 meal if you really, really want to. And the 1 serving of fruit is just to offer the idea that you may want your palate to be a baked apple for dessert. Go back to the old days a little bit and put a little bit of molasses or something. I'll give a little tip. I like that tea called Angle Spice, I think it's called. And I use it, steep my tea, take it, dry it, and I break it open and sprinkle it on my baked apple afterwards. It's delicious. And that way I'm having all the nourishment, and then I can still have my chips. I didn't say thou shalt not have something. I'm actually speaking more to what we could be doing versus shouldn't be doing.
So,
Yeah, that prescription is up leveling because you're walking, you're hydrating, you're surrounding yourself, and the only thing that would be missing out of that element would be supports. And again, if it's simple, I think it's doable. In 120 days, I call that the Domino Diet Challenge. Top level your red blood cells to the optimal. And I don't call that a diet. I hope that would be a way of life.
I love it. I love it. Well, I love it. I we can go on forever. So I love the fact that you changed, like, diet is a way of life. Diet and there that you're taking you know heal health and healing there.
Yes.
So this has been awesome. And what we love to do then at the end here, first of all, thank you so much, and ask you what you would love to have us as a community hold for you and your overall health and well-being. What would you
Oh,
just love to have us as a community? And many people will watch this, as it goes on. But what would you love to have us hold for you, Karie?
oh, I welcome that. I think my dream is that this messaging is reaching outwards as trendsetters, that we are carving a way for our next generations, and well, us to even just thrive and live more abundantly and without the guilt that we don't have that, oh, Thanksgiving's coming, Christmas coming. Oh, there's a bit of an angst that comes with that because most of us think, oh, I'm going to fall off the rails here and who's going to pick me up, and it maybe doesn't have to feel that way. So I would love that there is this messaging going out there, and one of the ways I would love to be able to do that is by creating curriculum and a course, and a documentary. I call it a documentary because what I'm seeing when you do sometimes look at some of these wellness documentaries, there can be a lot of guilt in there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I would prefer that we are coming at it from a positive positioning, as I've hopefully premised. So I would love that if you can hold that.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. A
yeah,
documentary. That's like right up my alley. Yeah.
yay.
Yeah. Go for it.
I'm November 9th. I'm holding a webinar that pretty much you've heard the real gist of it, but it'll allow a lot of Q&A. It'll be an hour long. Currently I have it set at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard. So that for you is 8 for the central zone that you're in. And that, hey, the book is on Amazon and it has been bestseller. Why not do it again? And
Why not?
especially around the Christmas holidays, where if we could ignite that, we reach more people. That's the way I see.
Oh, this is great. Well, so here we go. We're going to send energy up to Canada. Right here from around the world. You ready to receive?
I'll receive it like this, I guess.
Yes. Here it goes. Whoosh. Got it? All
Yes,
right. Well, thank
yes,
you so
right.
much. And I'm so looking forward to all of the everything unfolding as you took this idea that you had and your passion, and you grow and grow and grow. Thank you so much for coming and being our first speaker in November.
Oh, thank
And
you. Thank you.
yeah,
My pleasure.
thank you so much. Yeah.